the last phase of this mantel, I'm going to be making, there are two of these, one right, one left at the lower portion on the column. And they have supplied me with some dimensions, but this is 2 5/8 inside of the, it's kind of hard to point to it, inside the carved portion from there to there is 2 5/8, and then there's a little lip, and then there's a little flat on top, and then it's bevels. It bevels back on both sides. It's chopped off with a hand plane or a handsaw. So that's what it looks like. Basically, there's three little berries, I guess, on top of it. It looks a lot like poison ivy to me. Leaves of three, let it be. And you know, poison ivy does have berries, but I'm sure it's some kind of stylized fruit leaf. There's one of the pictures that they gave me with some dimensions on it, and I had to scale it out. What I did was I took it to, I took a picture of the whole thing. I don't think I have that whole thing here, but I do have, they sent me one picture that had the entire block, the entire carved. That may have been right, that one. Sorry for the glare. I took that to Staples, and I had them to blow it up. The problem is they took it, this camera was not flat, so it's narrower here and wider here, so it made a tapered effect. I took that and had it blown up. I had to work with the people a while to get them to make me this. I had to get it to where in the very center of it here, it was the right width. And then the length of it was about 1 inch or so too short from the top to the bottom. So what I had to do is draw it in quarters and add 0.25, a quarter of an inch per each fourth of this thing. I had to add a quarter of an inch in length. I had to stretch it out. So this is the print that I got off the picture, and then I drew it onto a piece of wood. And then I sketched, this is the carbon paper tracing I have, and the width of this is exactly this width from the edge of that paper to there, top and bottom, and the length. The length is also correct. So then I take a piece of wood, I mark an edge because there is like I said, there's a bevel on the edge of this thing, and then there's a flat. And so I have allowed enough room to make the bevel and the flat. And I have marked, this is the top part, so the berries go on top. This little flat on top is a light 1/8. And then there's a recess down. All right, that's got my position of my tracing. So now I'm going to take some carbon, put underneath this thing, and trace it off. My carbon paper is just about worn out, about lost all of its black. this is the line that makes this little flat. There's a little flat up here, and this actually is the line where the carving starts down in there and dips down in. This is the edge of the board. This is a bevel. From here down there's a bevel. This little heavy eighth here is a flat, and then the carving starts from here and goes down in here. All right, these are an inch in from both edges. All I'm doing is trying to center this board. This is something I'm using to hold on to put it into the mill, and also into the vise when I'm carving it. I just need something to hold on to it, and I need to get it centered and straight. It needs to be parallel. Now that gives me something to hold on to it. Now I've got my outer edge line and my inner edge line drawn. I've got my vines drawn very lightly. The carbon paper is about worn out, but I've got enough I can go by. Now I'm going to start with a little lip. There's a lip that dips down that I've got to and it needs to be straight. That's the reason I went to such great care to put this block on the back. It's straight down this edge right here. All right, I've got a 1/8 inch. It's actually a router bit, but I've slowed this mill down enough to where router bits are quite effective in this, for this use. All right, I'm satisfied with that. Now I got to go down 50 thousandths. It's just barely touching it now, and I can look on my gauge up here on my up and down control and measure 50 thousandths. Thousandths from there. And the next thing I have to do is take out this deeper part. In between the leaves is recessed and stippled, and there's a kind of a sweep. It goes from this lower level down in here, and it to that little groove that I just cut. It sort of sweeps up, and it's about I forget how much lower. I've got it written down over there, but it's about 1/16 of an inch lower between this the little edge I just cut, and down in here it drops in. All right, I just did that one gap. The writing, the markings are very faint, but you can see leaves, like a three-figured leaf, three-pointed leaf coming out here, and a stem coming down here, and like that. Well, in between all those leaves is recessed. That's the part I just did. That little ridge right there is a sweep, and that little trough there will be a shelf. Once that little ridge is removed, it'll go from this level to that level. So I've got to do the rest of these gaps in between all of those leaves is a gap. So this takes a little while. More later.